Hello everyone, this is Mr. Souza, and today you're going to learn how to factor a trinomial when your a term is equal to 1. So your first step is to make sure your trinomial is listed in this specific order: ax squared plus bx plus c. So once you have that, you need to find two numbers that multiplied will give you 24. And when you add, it'll give you 10. So your first step is to list the factors of 24. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure you list the numbers in order, just to prevent any number from not being included here. So if you start with 1, 24 divided by 1 is 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 24 divided by 3 is 8. 24 divided by 4 will give you 6. 24 divided by 5 is not going to work because that will give you a decimal, and we cannot have decimals here. And then your next number will be 6, but then we already have 6, so we are not going to repeat the numbers, because if you do 6, you're going to get 6 and 4. We already have those numbers. So that's how you know you have to stop. So notice that all these pairs, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6, when you multiply them, they all give you 24. That's something they all have in common. However, only one pair, when you add, is going to give you 10. So let's go ahead and try the first pair. 1 and 24 will give us 25. That's not going to work because, again, your middle term is 10, so we need a 10. 2 and 12, that's going to give us 14. That's not going to work. 3 and 8 will give us 11. That's not going to work. And finally, 4 and 6 will give us 10. And that's what we need here. Because again, two numbers multiply give you 24. And those same two numbers, when you add them, give us 10. So it's going to be 4 and 6. Notice how your a term here, you have 1x squared. So because you have an x squared in the beginning, you're going to have x on each beginning of the set. So like this, x and x. And then x4 and x plus 6. So make sure you have the same numbers. Now, the order does not matter. You can have it like that, or also x plus 6, x plus 4. So please go ahead, pause the video, and try question number 2. Welcome back. Now we're going to go over question number 2. Question 2 is similar to question 1. You want to start by listing the factors of c, which in this case is 30. So again, we start listing them in order. 30 divided by 1 will give us 30. 30 divided by 2, 15. 30 divided by 3 is 10. 30 divided by 4 is not going to work. That's going to give us a decimal, so we don't do 4. 30 divided by 5 will give us 6. So again, all these pairs, when you multiply, it's going to give us 30. However, there's only one combination that when you add, is going to give us 11. So if you go ahead and do 1 plus 30, 31. So that's not going to work. 2 plus 15, that's 17. 3 plus 10 will give us 13. 5 plus 6 give us 11. So in this case, you're going to have 5 and 6 because, again, 5 times 6 is going to give us 30. And the same 5 and 6, when you add them, is going to give us 11. So again, you can write it as x plus 5, x plus 6, or you could change the order and write it the other way around. Like this. Okay. So if you need more time to make corrections or write anything down, feel free to pause the video. If not, we're going to proceed to question 3. Question 3 is somewhat similar to question 1. However, there's one thing they have that's not the same, and that's going to be your B term. Your B term here for question 1 is a positive 10, and for question 3, it's a negative 10. So we have to think of two numbers, multiply will give us 24. And when you combine them, when you add them, it's going to give us negative 10. And the only way this can happen is if you have two negative numbers, because negative times negative will give you positive. And when you add two negative numbers, you add the numbers and keep the sign. So notice, since your last term is 24, you can kind of recycle the numbers from question 1. So you can list the factors of 24 again. The only difference is both numbers will be negative. So notice pretty much like the same numbers of the first question, is just they're negative. So technically they're not the same numbers because again, they're negative. So all these pairs, when you multiply, it's going to give us 24. However, there's only one pair that's going to give us negative 10. So let's go ahead and do that. Negative 1 and negative 24. When you add these numbers, that's going to give you negative 25. That's not going to work. Negative 2, negative 12 will give us negative 14. I should have started from the left side, but it's fine. We can continue here. Negative 3 and negative 8 will give us negative 11. And negative 4 with negative 6 give us negative 10. So this is the combination that we need. So we write x minus 4, x minus 6. Or again, you can change the order and write x minus 6, x minus 4. And again, the order does not matter as long as you have those two numbers. So please go ahead, pause the video, and try question number 4. Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to go over question 4. Your C term is 36. So we start with that. Again, keep in mind, both of your numbers must be negative. So negative 1 goes with negative 36. 36 divided by 2 is 18. By 3 makes 12. 4 makes 9. 5 is not going to work. We get a decimal. And then 6, we get another 6. And then it's the same idea of question 3. We need to look for two numbers that when you combine, will give you negative 13. So if you do 1 and 36, that's going to give us negative 37. Negative 2 and negative 18. When you add them, that's going to give us negative 20. Negative 3, negative 12. That's going to give us negative 15. Negative 4, negative 9. When you add those numbers, negative 13. And we already have what we need. So guess what? You can stop right here. You do not even need to try the next pair. So again, the order does not matter as long as you have both numbers. So make sure you have that down on your paper. So like this. Okay, so if you need more time to take notes or make corrections, feel free to pause the video. If not, we're gonna go to question 5. So question 5 is slightly different now because your last term is no longer positive, it's a negative, and your middle term is positive. The only way you can get a negative c is if you multiply a positive with a negative number. However, because your middle term is positive, your bigger number must be positive. So let me say that again. We need a positive times a negative. However, because your middle term is positive, your bigger number must be positive. So factors of negative 15, you're going to have negative 1 and a positive 15. 2 is not going to work because, again, it's a decimal. And if you do 3, we're going to get 5. So if you do negative 1 plus 15, that's going to give us 14. That's not going to work. And then a negative 3 plus 5, that makes 2. So that's what we're going to use here because, again, when you multiply, you get your C term, which is negative 15. And when you combine those same numbers, it's going to give you the 2 that's in the middle. Same idea applies. It does not matter which number goes first, as long as those are the 2 numbers that you're using. Make sure you have this down on your paper. Again, if you need more time, just pause the video, take notes, make corrections. Please pause the video and try question number 6. Welcome back, everyone. Before we proceed to question 6, let's do a minor fix on question 5. So if you have not noticed, we have a y squared in the beginning here. Therefore, we're not going to use x. We're going to use y instead. Same thing for your second factor. It's going to be y. So make sure you fix that on your paper. It's going to be a y instead of x. Like this. So now let's go ahead and proceed to question 6. We start with negative 28. And we're going to list the factors in order. So negative 28 divided by negative 1 is a positive 28. If you divide by negative 2, that makes 14. Negative 3 is a decimal. That's not going to work. And if you do by negative 4, you're going to get 7. So now we have to see which pair is going to give us 3. So if you do negative 1 plus 28, that's going to give us 27. And negative 2 plus 14, that's going to give us 12. And finally, negative 4 plus 7, that's going to give us 3. And that's exactly what we need here. So we needed 2 numbers that multiply, give us negative 28. And when you combine, will give us 3. So Again, this time it's going to be a y because it's a y squared. And then the order does not matter as long as you have both numbers. And again, I'm tempted to write x, but it's not x, it's y. Make sure you have the correct variable on your paper, otherwise it's not correct. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and try question number 7 together. It's somewhat similar to 5 and 6. However, your middle term is negative this time. So that means your bigger number is going to be negative. So factors of negative 60. So 1 and negative 60. 2, negative 30. 3, negative 20. 4, negative 15. 6, and a negative 10. 7 is a decimal, 8 is a decimal, 9 is a decimal, 10 is already there, so we stop. And again, same idea. When you multiply, all 5 options will give you negative 60. However, there's only one option that when you combine is going to give you negative 4. And that's going to be this right here. Because when you do 6 and minus 10, that's going to give you negative 4. So again, you list the numbers. Make sure you have the correct variable. And again, the order does not matter. So you can write either way, as long as you have the correct variable and the correct numbers. Okay, so please go ahead, pause the video, and try question number 8. Welcome back. Now we're going to go over the last question, which is question 8. So we start by listing the factors of negative 48 in order. So again, your bigger number has to be negative because your middle term is negative. So 1, negative 48. 2, negative 24. 3, negative 16. 4, negative 12. 5 is not going to work because that's going to give you a decimal. And finally 6 with negative 8. And again, there's only one pair that's going to give us what we need. When you multiply, it gives you negative 48. And when you combine, it gives you negative 2. And that's going to be these two numbers right here. And again, you list them. Make sure you have both numbers. The order does not matter. So you can write either way. Okay. So now we're going to go to the last part of the lesson, which is common math misconceptions. Welcome back, everyone. Now we're going to go over the last part of the lesson, which is common math misconceptions. As mentioned in the beginning of the video, you must have your trinomial written in this format right here, in this order: ax squared plus bx plus c. Many times students are given a question that it's on this format here: x squared plus 24 plus 10x. Okay, And students tend to think that their C term is going to be 10, but that's not the case. Your first step here is to rewrite this. So you're going to have x squared plus 10x plus 24. And then similar to what we did on question 1, you list the factors of 24, and then you can go ahead and factor, and you'll get something like this. X plus 4, x plus 6.